Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Gruniblink, and I am the creator of Apples and Genos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy, and contributor to Yahoo Fantasy. In this podcast, Blake and I are going to give you all the best streamers, ad options for the next week so you can start planning early. Let's get it. Now, of course, I have your friend and my best friend, Blake Creamer, in the house with me tonight. Blake, how are we feeling?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Hockey's in full swing. This is so awesome. I'm so stoked for Saturday. Actually, that's really when it's gonna feel like the season has started. And yeah, Nate and I were talking a little bit just about just our fantasy league starts, and we're both kind of crushing right off the bat, and that feels right, doesn't it, Nate? We should just end the season right now and take the dub.
I'd be okay with that at this point. I was saying I'm ahead in every single league right now, which is not something I'm anticipating to continue throughout the entire season, but it feels pretty good right now.
It's not, Nate. What do you do? Come on. No, I'm definitely anticipating this. All right. I keep going back and forth, probably 4 or 5 third place finishes last year. So this year we're getting those dubs. We're getting those chips. And so are you people. All right.
All right. Well, let's get to business here, Blake. Let's do it. Why don't you take us in with some news and notes from around the league?
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So, this is something we're going to be doing here on this streaming show. So, this is our inaugural streaming show, Nate. Oh, my goodness. We're going to do this. Yeah, this is sick. So, I love combining our powers here, our fantasy powers. So, let's get into some newsies. All right. Just a couple quick updates here for you. Nikolaj Ehlers, he's back. He miraculously, his neck is fine. Everything else is fine. He took a hard fall into the boards right at the end of the game. And immediately 90% of fantasy managers just started messaging us and dropping him and doing typical Nikolaj Ehlers stuff. So, but he's back in practice, and he's going to take his spot on the second line there. Second power play. Thank you, Rick Boner. Bonus. All right. All right. We don't like that, but anyways, Ehlers is back. Also Taylor Hall. Initial reports were that he was injured week to week. All right, but this man is like Wolverine. Apparently he heals at an astonishing rate. Actually, I wish I had the tweet. I don't have it here, but I read something today. One of his teammates said something of that. This man heals really quickly. Like Taylor told me that, his healing is really fast. It's like, that's a thing. Like that's an actual thing. Nate, have you heard of this?
I have not heard of this. It sounds like some of the voodoo magic that's going on there in Chicago. Maybe the youthfulness of Connor Bedard is wearing off on Taylor Hall.
That's right. Well, apparently they're going to take a vial of Taylor Hall's blood and have it studied in a lab and kind of put it into pill form and just give it to the whole team. Anyways, he's going to be back in the lineup sooner rather than later, but it's not week to week anymore. So that's good news there. The main beneficiary there for the power play is going to be Lucas Reichel. I think he's going to take his spot on the power play 1 there. So that's a nice piece. But Lucas Reichel's still going to stay on the second line. It sounds like Taylor Radish. I got to think of a good nickname for Taylor Radish. I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now, but that's he's going to go up on the top line with Donato and Connor Bedard. So first off, I don't want to digress too much, but how have you liked Connor Bedard early in the season here, Nate? What are the reviews for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had it as one of my hot takes that Bedard was going to be a fantasy disappointment this season, and I don't think that's going to be the case if they're going to play him 21, 22 minutes a night. And also, the shot generation has been spectacular through 2 games, so you love to see that. I do think he's one of these guys that can do it himself. It's really just a question of how much help he's able to garner from his teammates to see what heights he can actually reach. So that'll be something to watch, and I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. It's like a circus, isn't it? We get
Yeah.
every stat, every shot, every look that the man makes. He's probably sick of it himself, but yeah. Anyways, we're digressing, but that's fine. Let's move on to LA news. Victor, see you at the party, Victor. Victor Arvidsson. We're not seeing him at the party. We're seeing him in the hospital. He has a LBI, a lower body injury, and they Kings have put him on long-term injury reserve. So he's going to be out until November 4th, at least missing 11 games. So that really sucks. There goes my 71-point projection for Victor Arvidsson. That's showing no good, but the beneficiary there is going to be Pierre-Luc Dubois, PLD. So he's going to get his spot on the power play. And yeah, I think Arthur Kaliev will be back in the lineup here soon enough. So obviously us at Apples and Ginos are excited about Kaliev. We want him to get some nice deployment. So maybe he just slides into Arvidsson's spot there or even the second line. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, he's out. That sucks. Let's move on. Last bit of news. We have to talk about Zach Werenski. A kind of good news, actually, based on the play. He's got a quad contusion, so he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks instead of, torn ACL or whatever other injury looked like might be possible there after that dingus play by Garnett Hathaway. Yeah, I mean, it's just a dingus play from a known dingus guy, and I this like. Also, I've got a lot invested in Werenski. I've got him on 6 teams. Do you have how many teams do you have Werenski on, Nate?
I honestly haven't checked, but it's at least one because I remember looking at him and moving him to my IR for a second. So it's at least one.
Yeah. Good news anyway. I mean, it's just a Charlie horse. So, the karate kick that Garnett Hathaway threw at Zach Werenski hit him in the quad instead of the knee. So better fix your aim there, ding dong. But yeah, Werenski out 1 to 2 weeks. It sounds like, Provorov was taking the power play reps for the rest of that game, but it's going to be Damon Severson. He was in practice on the power play there. So also they've called up David Juracek, which is an interesting move. I'm interested in it. I don't think he's going to get that power play, but I mean, you never know. He's a really talented prospect, and yeah, I've seen crazier things. So actually, and just as an aside, LA Kings called up Brant Clark randomly and then sent him right back down. But when they called him up, I snatched him up in one league. I was like, okay, because it was really thin on D. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then I looked back like 2 hours later, and he's NA in Yahoo, and I was like, they sent him back down. Like, what kind of what are they doing? It's just some troll over there in LA just messing with our fantasy teams. So, anyways, that's really it. That's the NHL news there that we've got for you. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll dive in then to the week that will be next week, week 2 of the season. I'm going to run this. If you are a patron member of Apples and Ginos, then you've heard this before. I was doing it as a patron perk last year. And now, if you want the notes for this, you can become an Apples and Ginos Patreon member for a small monthly subscription fee. And you can get the show notes for this. So you can get the kind of hard copy of this after the fact. And you don't have to replay the podcast 6 different times to remember all the different players that we talked about. But the schedule for next week, just to run down day by day. On Monday, we have 5 games being played. On Tuesday, there's 9 games. Wednesday, 2 games. Thursday, 12 games. Friday, 2 games. Saturday, 15 games. And Sunday, again, 2 games. So in total, that's 47 games played. That's a light week. Generally, I say anything 50 or below is kind of a light week. So it's definitely a light week for the NHL, but it is very polarized. So you've got a lot of, like, obviously 15 games. Everybody except 2 teams are playing on that Saturday. Thursday with 12 games is a pretty heavy night as well. Only Arizona has the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, which is something we like to look at a fair bit. If you've got an open spot for that Tuesday, the 9-game slate on Tuesday, if you've got an open roster spot, then you can kind of get ahead on your week by getting a Monday, Tuesday stream in from Arizona. Only Detroit and Washington have Monday, Wednesday off nights to open the week. So if you're looking for an early week streamer, those would be the teams there. And then Calgary is the only team with Friday, Sunday off nights to end the week. So if you're looking towards the end of the week, then Calgary is your team there. Locking down, if you're looking at full week stream, then I do think that locking down a Calgary or Detroit player for the full week stream is probably going to be the key move to make because, yeah, there's not a lot of teams to choose from here. If you're in a sharp league where a lot of people are streaming, then you're going to have to go get these guys early in the week. You're not going to be able to, run a Washington player for Monday, Wednesday, and then switch over and grab a Calgary player for the Friday, Sunday. If people are already looking ahead to the week and they're grabbing all those Calgary players up right away on the first day of the week. So something to think about. But, if your league's not too sharp and you know that those Calgary guys will be there, maybe you can squeeze an extra game out by running one of the Detroit or Washington team streams for the Monday, Wednesday, and then switch into a Calgary player for the Friday, Sunday. All right. Why don't we switch gears and Blake, you can talk us through the worst teams to stream, or maybe even some teams that we might want to drop our fringe players on.
Oh, hell yes. What a lovely segue, Nate. And thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right, let's talk. Nate and I don't do segues. We don't have segments.
It's true.
So we're kind of just feeling this out, and it feels nice. All right, I like that. So yeah, let's talk about the teams with the worst schedule first. All right, we've got Montreal and St. Louis, both with only 2 games played this week, and both on or 0 off nights. Sorry, so it's going to be really hard pressed to hold a lot of basically the bottom 9 for both those teams, and even with Montreal, Josh Anderson, no, get the hell out of my sight. Yep. Nick Suzuki, you probably have to hold him, but damn, that's not going to feel very good this week. I actually, in one of my leagues where Werenski was in, I put him to the IR, and Matheson was on the wire for some reason. So that's going to stink for him too. But obviously, you got to keep the professor on your team. All right. So anyways, Montreal and St. Louis, that's going to be tough. 2 games played, 0 off nights. Ottawa and Pittsburgh, they only play 2 games. They have 1 off night. And then there's 15 teams that have 3 games played, but they're all on the busy nights. So the busy nights this week, we're looking at Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, right? So there's 15 teams that have that schedule. So that really stinks, right? It's going to be hard to get teams in. The Tuesday you might be able to get some games out of, but yeah, the Thursday and the Saturday are going to be problems. So let's look at some of the players. I just wanted to bring up some interesting players and maybe throw to you a little bit here, Nate, as well. Some of the bigger waiver wire pickups, and one guy that really stood out to me was Nick Paul for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, he's getting power play 1 deployment. He got it in the first game and just showed out. He went off, 2 goals, 1 assist, both on the power play. He's a beefer as well, so he's going to give you perif. So he's a very valuable player if that's actually his role moving forward in the season. What do you think, Nate, about dropping Nick Paul this week with the kind of the crappy schedule that Tampa has? I mean, Tampa is one of those teams that has 3 games all on the busy nights.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit for me on what your situation is. Like, if you're getting Nick Paul in for both Tuesday and Thursday somehow, then I'm definitely keeping him because I do think that the Tampa Bay power play is just so elite that I want a piece of that no matter who it is, basically. So if you're getting 2 games out of Nick Paul, then for sure. If you're getting only the Tuesday because it's the lightest of the heavy nights, if you're only getting 1 game out of Nick Paul for next week, then that's a little tougher to stomach. But if I have enough other players that I'm already thinking about turning into streaming spots and have a plan that's going to use up my ads for the week anyway without involving Nick Paul, then I still might hold on to him. But that's where the decision point is for me. If I'm looking ahead and I know that I'm only going to get 1 game out of Nick Paul next week, then I'm really deciding between him and whoever else is on my roster. And obviously that's going to depend on whoever that someone else is.
Yeah, no, I think I would echo that for sure. So take that for what it's worth, right? We're not saying drop Nick Paul, right? But you have to think about that, right? If you pick him up, he's a hot waiver wire ad and clearly has a good position right now or opportunity with Tampa Bay. But yeah, if you need to win your week, I think you got to look at Nick Paul at least potentially dropping. All right, but make sure it makes sense for your team. All right, I do want to talk about Seattle, the Seattle Kraken as well. They have 3 games, 0 off nights. So again, they're all on those busy nights. And I put in the notes here, the entire Seattle Kraken is probably droppable. And, that's a bit of a joke, but, it kind of isn't as well. Like they haven't had a great start. I've got Grubauer in a bunch of spots. What the hell? He actually looks pretty good though.
Yeah, he doesn't look bad.
Yeah, he looks good, but the team, obviously they were insanely efficient last year, and we haven't seen that so far this season. So what do you think about the Seattle Kraken just for this week? And even their top six guys, like obviously you're not dropping McCann, you're probably not dropping Beniers. Burakovsky is probably dropped, but I like Burakovsky. I mean, I don't know. What about Seattle in their top six? Who would you hold? Who would you drop?
Yeah, I think it's really only three names for me that I'd hold from Seattle: Dunn, McCann, and Beniers. Eberle, Larson. I'm just literally looking straight down the list of rostership percentage on Yahoo. Eberle, Larson, Bjorkstrand, Gord, Burakovsky, Tolvanen, Oleksiak, Schwartz. All these guys are gone for me.
Bye. Yeah. So there you go. And again, disclaimer, we'll start out with some disclaimers here and then you guys will all get the gist here, but we're not saying drop these players. All right. But these are the players that you're going to want to look at dropping, right? If you have a bunch of, investment in the Seattle Kraken, this is not going to be a fun week for you. All right. So keep that in mind. And I do want to just talk about the St. Louis Blues briefly here. Obviously, they have the 2 games played and they're both on the busy nights. So that's a garbage schedule for this week. And there are players that we were high on, Vrana comes to mind right off the bat. And yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts there, Nate, because obviously his deployment in the first game, not good. Like he played something like 13 minutes. It just wasn't a great showing. Granted, it's one game. So, I like to preach patience here, but, we want to win some matchups as well. So where are you at with Vrana?
Yeah, I think I would move on from Vrana for this week. I mean, he's 7% rostered in Yahoo.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to be in a pretty deep league to be super worried about grabbing him back if that's what you're worried about. And
It's like a couple.
likely you're probably going to be needing that spot, and Vrana's going to be that guy at the bottom end of the roster who's basically not going to play for you all week. So that's definitely a guy I'd look at. It would obviously, everything is dependent on who else you've got on your roster and everything, and how many games they're going to play versus someone else for you. He did get an assist in it was 11 minutes 23 seconds ice time.
I was giving him some flowers there. 11 minutes. Oh man, that's
pretty brutal.
Water boy minutes
for sure. So I would move off Rana, just because honestly, like, I don't think you're giving up too much. I would even move off Braden Shen. Braden Shen's 55% rostered. He's on the top power play there, but like, it's St. Louis, so there's not really a top power play there even. And really in St. Louis, like, the only guys I'm super interested in is that top line, Thomas, Buchnevich, Kyrou, and everybody else is suspect, to say the least. So even a guy like Braden Shen in, a 12 team or 10 team league especially, I would definitely be thinking about moving off of him too.
There you go. You shouldn't have drafted him in the first place, all right? You shouldn't have Braden Shen in your team. We're not talking Yang on the man. He's the new captain there. Shout out to Braden Shen. But yeah, I mean, basically the bottom 9, St. Louis, get the hell out of my sight, all right? We don't need those players on our team for this week, but make sure it makes sense for your team, all right? Cool. We are going to move on. Let's talk about the best teams to stream. All right. The stream team. All right. Maybe maybe we'll get some alliteration going as well, like John Binkle did with the Rolling Lines boys. All right. Shout out to Rolling Lines. Okay. Let's talk about the best streaming teams. So first off, we got to talk about Calgary Flames and Detroit. They have by far the best schedule for this upcoming week. And because this week is so heavy and light on those heavy and light days, you're honestly going to be looking probably at a week-long stream, because if you don't pick up players from these teams, it's going to be slim pickings. You're going to be picking up Nikita Zadorov, you know what I mean? Like later on, and you don't want that, right? So let's talk about Calgary first. So Calgary plays the Monday, then they play Thursday, which is the busy night, but then they play Friday, Sunday. And they play against pretty weak teams, actually. They play Washington, Buffalo, Columbus, and Detroit. Obviously, Buffalo on the Thursdays, that'll be a tougher game, but I think Calgary's probably a better team at this point of the season, so that's kind of nice. And then we're looking at Detroit as well. Detroit plays Monday, Wednesday, and then they have a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. So, and again, Detroit is playing against Columbus, Pittsburgh, Ottawa on the Saturday, and then Calgary on Sunday. So, yeah, those are your teams that you're looking for with the 3 off nights, right? Because these off nights are so slim. So players you kind of want to target there. I think it's pretty standard stuff. Calgary has some really good streamers. So you're looking at guys like Noah Hannafin if you need some defense, right? And Nikita Zadorov. All right, he's there as well. But I think the main guys you're looking at are Mr. Eat Bread, Andrew Mangiapane. He's left wing, right wing eligible. I mean, he's line one, power play one currently. That's how they just practiced. So they had Coronado on there before, but I think it's going to be Mangiapane moving forward, at least for this next game. So Mangiapane, you're looking at Matt Coronado again. I know Rolling Lines talked about him as well. I think he's lost a little bit of his shine, but he's still going to be valuable for this week. And I like Michael Backlund. He's a center only, so that's what I don't like. But I think he had 17 minutes or 18 minutes deployment in the first game. He's the captain of the team. I always kind of like giving the captain some shine. And I feel like, his role is usually pretty secure. Right. And he's getting some power play time. So those are kind of your streamers for Calgary. And then on Detroit, you're looking at Lucas Raymond, right. Who's, we're hoping he has a little bit of a better season, but I'm not holding my breath. JT Comfort, Jake Wallman, Jeff Petrie, if you need periffs, and we'll go through a list later, kind of looking at specific statistics that you might need. And then Robbie Fabry, right, if he's good to go. So, and I noticed you didn't put this in here, Nate, but we got to talk about the Slinky, Daniel Spring Sprung. Oh yeah, we'll maybe be hearing about him later. All right, but I don't know what do you have to say? Do you have anything to say about Calgary and Detroit there, Nate? Before I move on here.
Yeah, I would say that definitely Calgary has the more interesting players to me at this point. I'm most interested in Mangiapane, Coronado, Backlund. I would say that Raymond has upside to just grab some points here and there. They were talking about it in the broadcast. I was watching a bit of that game the other night, and he's put on a bunch of muscle. They're saying, oh, yeah, he looks a lot better. I don't know how much I'm buying into that realistically, but I do think that he's one of the few guys on Detroit that you can actually assume in a 4-game week is going to come away with a couple points. So that means something to me. And then Jake Wallman had a nice night. He's seems to be attached to the hip with Moritz Seider at even strength. This guy blocks a lot of shots, actually takes a few shots for himself as well.
He can score.
He's a decent option if you need somebody pretty badly on defense as well. And JT Compher seems to be just replicating his role from Colorado. Like, I forget how many minutes he actually skated, but it was a lot. I got to look it up here because I shook my head. Yeah, 19 minutes, 56 seconds, almost 20 minutes again. So he's just doing the Colorado thing all over again, where despite not being like the most incredible player in any metric, he is just going to be relied on for big minutes again, it seems. So, anytime you can get a guy who's going to play 20 minutes a night, you got to feel at least decent about that. So, those are the highlights. Noah Hannafin, if he's available, 50% rostered on Yahoo. He's a slam dunk at D if you need somebody there.
Yeah, absolutely. JT Compher, that's so interesting because I had so many shares of JT Compher at the end of last season just because of the deployment, right? Like I think I said to you last year, like he's just going to bludgeon his way to points because he's out there, right? Obviously, he's on a less talented team here, but that's kind of good to see him land on his feet in terms of deployment. I think he's a really valuable player in real life, just not the type of guy that we're super into here. Let's move on. The next team that you're going to want to probably get a player off of here is Arizona, right? They got the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, which we talked about, but they also they have 4 games with only the 1 off night. So you might have a problem getting some of these guys in, right? But I mean, they had a great game tonight, and there's some interesting developments there, right? So just right off the bat, in terms of their power play, it was Jersey season. It's they're taking us to the Jersey Shore. This man had almost 5 minutes on the power play, blasted one from the point, like just crushed a one-timer. So I think he's good to go, and he looked really good actually. And then Logan Cooley, right? He got a bunch of minutes on power play 1. So I think something like 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes on power play 1. So he's getting some run there. So, with that schedule, like first off, let's go into it. So yeah, Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back against the Rangers and Islanders. And then on Thursday, they play the busy Thursday against St. Louis. And then it's Anaheim on Saturday. So like I said, Logan Cooley, I think is is probably the best choice there. Nick Schmaltz, if he's available, he had a great game tonight too, goal and an assist, and he looked great. He scored the winner in the shootout. He looks good to go. Obviously, I want to see him play a full season. This guy plays at like a point per game pace pretty much for the last 3 seasons. So I'd like to see him play a full season so we could see what that looks like. And then, you got Barrett Hayton there as well. And then banger, Lawson Krause, right? What about Jack McBain? I'm not suggesting you go stream Jack McBain, but I just like saying McBain. And then the juice box, Yusuf Alamaki is also there, heading up power play too. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Arizona there? Did you catch any or even the highlights of the game there, Nate?
No, I haven't. I was gonna watch it, but then I got too busy before I had to go play my beer league game tonight. Shout out Team Silver.
What were your shots on goal per 60, Nate?
What were mine?
Yeah, what do you know your shots on goal per 60, scoring chances 4 per 60?
I believe I only had the one shot, which I scored on, so 100% shooting percentage, totally sustainable.
That's high efficiency. That's Kuzmenko stuff right here.
That's right. That's who I'm emulating this year. I don't know how to do that exactly playing defense, but we're gonna roll with it.
You got to grow your hair.
That might be the first key there. So no, I didn't get to check any of this game yet, but just generally about the team, it's kind of a really lowly rostered team. It seems like the stench of Arizona is still alive and well, and I don't really think it should be. I think they're actually a much more interesting team actually this year than they were last year, even outside of the top line. But even the top line's being disrespected. Like Schmaltz is 29% rostered on Yahoo. Hayton's at 16%. Hayton had a really nice game as well by the stats. 4 shots, 7 attempts, 4 scoring chances, 21 minutes, 39 seconds. So it looks like they're just going to go right back to just playing the crap out of the top line. And then Logan Cooley's there on power play, so he's next in line for minutes. And then it's kind of just everybody else after that. Arizona is one team that will play. They will play their top players a ton. So that gives you at least some comfort in if you're going out to stream some of these guys. So I definitely like all those guys. Not sure you're going to get Jersey 56% rostered, so he's probably gone in most competitive leagues. But Cooley, Schmaltz, Hayton would definitely all be viable options. I think I like Hayton and Schmaltz above Cooley still, just because that line seems so ensconced.
Nice.
Cooley will come and go. He got both his assists on the power play today. When the power play is not running, will he be able to get points playing with, I think it was Zucker. Was it Zucker and Krause in this game? I'm not sure that Cooley's
Zucker
going to...
Kerfoot. Oh, no.
Oh, Kerfoot. Yeah, that's right. Which is, not a great spot. Having watched Alexander Kerfoot for a number of years as a Leafs fan, I can say that offense on his stick is not something that you should expect.
A lot of souvenir pucks for the fans there.
Yes.
Okay, sweet.
Just overall, I would definitely have Hayton and Schmaltz a tier up on Cooley, but I do think that Cooley's a fine option as well. Obviously, a nice night to start his career there.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the next tier down of schedule here. We're looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals, both with 3 games played and 2 off nights. So that's pretty nice. Washington actually has that Monday, Wednesday, which Nate talked about. So that's really something like moving forward when the weeks aren't as kind of black and white as this one, you're going to look for those Monday, Wednesday options, right? So it's really key. But anyways, Columbus and Washington both have 3 games, 2 off nights. The players you're looking at there are pretty standard. I got to talk about my boy Boone Jenner. All right. I actually don't know what his rostership is, though. Nate, maybe you can let me know about that when you get to it. But yeah, I mean, Boone Jenner, this guy should be on your team on a points league, in a Cats league. You guys know that I love Boone Jenner, but I'm not just blowing smoke. This man's actually really good, right? I'm not saying he's like some league winner, but he should be on a roster. What are you doing? Why is he on the waivers like that? That's why
36%. 36% rostered.
3-6?
Yep.
What the God? This gets me incensed. This is why I like Trocheck. This is why I like Boone Jenner, because it doesn't make a bit of sense.
This is Blake's villain origin story right here.
Oh my God. When I see that percentage, He's on power play 1 and he's playing 20 minutes a night. What the hell are we doing, people? All right. You know who the 36% are? I'm going to give our listeners the credit. It's these listeners right here. 36% of Yahoo players listen to Apples and Ginos. Book it. All right. Thank you for your service, everyone, for rostering Boone Jenner. I don't know what's wrong with the rest of the fantasy managers out there. Anyways, that's fine. I digress there. Yeah. So you're looking at Boone Jenner. Fantilli's still out there, right? They didn't have a great game, right? They just got kind of dummied by Philly there randomly, which who actually look a lot better. But yeah, it wasn't a great game. Fantilli got an assist, so that's nice. He's out there. Kirill Marchenko is a really nice option. I'm excited about that player, low key, and I wasn't before, but I kind of obviously his metrics show pretty decent, and then watching the game, I was actually impressed when I watched the game. So he looks really good. He's getting some decent deployment. Cole Sillinger, and then with Werenski out, you're looking at Provorov or Severson, right? Or I mean, take a flyer, or at least put Juracek on your watch list and see what they do with him, right? And then for Washington, we got the usual suspects there. Yeah, like Oshie, I saw a bunch of people pick up Oshie. Kuznetsov is still out there in some spots, right? I don't know.
Even Tom Wilson's 49% rostered.
Wilson, yeah. I got Wilson. I actually picked them up really high in like a true bangers league that I'm in. So I actually felt really proud of myself, but it also felt really weird to draft him like 7th pick. You know what I mean? I was like, Tom Wilson, this makes no sense, but that's fine. But yeah, you know what? Rasmus Sandin was the high minute man for Washington tonight. So he's not getting power play 1, but he's getting a ton of deployment. So I think there's some value there for sure. So yeah, just keep an eye out there for Washington. Even what do you think about Connor McMichael? I know this is kind of a deep take here, but he looked good in the preseason. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that player?
I was going to bring up McMichael if you didn't. So
nice.
I like that.
Oh
yeah, skated 15:49, playing on a clear second line there. Didn't have a shot on goal, so most people are gonna look right past the stat line. But he had 5 attempts and 4 scoring chances. So I think the shots will come. This is a guy who has produced shots on goal and scoring chances in the past. Last year was kind of a little bit of a lost year for him. Got sent back down. I think it was a Laviolette thing, to be honest with you. But this year it looks like they're going to give him some real run. I kind of trust Spencer Carberry to do the right thing. If he's ready for it, he'll get it. So I'm hoping that he's got it. And yeah, he could, who knows, ascend the lineup, power play 1. Like there's a lot in flux in Washington in my mind. Like I think it's going to be a real prove yourself this year. I don't think it's just a retread of the vets for old time's sake there anymore. I think they're really looking at what the next iteration of this team is going to look like. And so if McMichael can step up and prove that he's going to be a core part of this team in the future, then I think they'll give him that run.
Yeah, no, I love that. Connor McMichael, everyone, deep sleeper, deep. All right. But I like the player. I saw him a little bit in the preseason, and yeah, just like what I saw. So anyways, that's good. And then lastly, I'll talk about New Jersey Devils. They played 2 games, but they're both on the off nights. So that's nice, New Jersey. Thank you. Yeah, their games are Monday and Friday, right? So it's kind of a weird week, but in this week, it's valuable. You could probably pick a player up and hold them, really. Like what are the other options, right? So, you might get an injury and be able to pull someone in on the Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. But yeah, the problem is there's slim pickings for players on New Jersey, right? You're looking at Eric Holla, who I know you picked up, Nate, and he got some, did he get a goal tonight or something? I don't know. He did something.
He had an empty net goal the other night.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And I think we both streamed in Alexander Holtz in some spots, and that show ain't no
not
good.
Great.
All right. Yeah, buddy. Sub 10 minutes on the ice. No, that's terrible. So you can punt that man to the sun. And then Andre Palat as well. He's getting some, deployment, but it's just nothing. That's kind of your options, right? So I don't know. Anything else on the Devils? Anyone else you kind of think of there?
Yeah, I mean, Siegenthaler, he's going to provide you some hits and blocks, and he actually wound up with 3 assists. So I don't think he's going to get those assists next week again, but, you could do worse things if you need a couple off nights for a defenseman.
Yeah, there you go. And that's it. That's it for the best and worst teams to stream. Nate, why don't you tell us about the best players to stream ranked by the legend, Nate Grudniblik?
All right. I love that segue. I think we're getting better at this, Blake.
Yeah,
So
we're already getting better. We're 33 minutes in. This is great.
so I did this last year for patron members, and I'm gonna do it again here. Basically, I just kind of fashion a list, a ranking of the top players based on the schedule, based on how I view the players for the upcoming week. Yeah, just basically based on everything, week long stream, who are the best players to stream. So I'm just going to run through the list and then I'm going to tell Blake to tear my list apart and tell me why I'm wrong. But here we go. Andrew Mangiapane is going to be my top guy for this week. Obviously, it looks like mid game he takes over top line, top power play. Like it's all there for him this week. I think he's shown us in the past, has a 35 goal season in his past. Last year was a down year. Shooting percentage was way out of whack. I think that comes back this year. And if Huberdeau's the guy feeding him at all strengths, then I think that that's a really nice spot. So Andrew Mangiapane going to be my top guy for this week. I still actually believe in Matt Coronado a little bit here. Honestly, it's he had a really nice game. Only played 13-31, 3 shots, 6 individual Corsi for, and 5 individual scoring chances for. Like I think this is a real player. It's a rookie, so you gotta take the good with the bad probably throughout the season. But for a 1 week stream, when you're really fighting for somebody with some kind of offensive upside on your waiver wire, I actually really like Matt Coronado, especially in this group. Like, I think Calgary needs this offense too, right, in their top 6.
Yeah.
So I think Coronado is a good look there. I have him over my next guy, Lucas Raymond. Raymond, we talked about. Um, he kind of is what he is, line 2, power play 2 right now, but definitely a good bet to get you a couple points next week. I'm just not sure that the upside is super high there. And then move on to the Arizona guys who I mentioned before, Schmaltz, Hayton, Cooley, all in a row here. Obviously, this is probably dependent on how much you're going to actually be able to fit them in and things like that, but I couldn't really rank them any lower because there's a pretty solid chance that these guys are scoring points for you if you're getting them in for that Monday, Tuesday back to back to start the week. So didn't feel good about pushing them any lower. Number 7, Boone Jenner. Number 8, Kirill Marchenko, obviously going to the Columbus side here. Jenner's playing between Goudreau and Marchenko in the last run and on power play 1. So love that spot for Boone Jenner. And obviously, if you're in any sort of league that values the peripheral stats, Boone Jenner does all that stuff. So love him there as well. And then I do share your thoughts about Kirill Marchenko. I like the player a little bit, and I think he's a good spot there. I go to Mikael Backlund here at 9. Honestly, you could tell me, really, it's kind of a big tier in my mind. After you get past Raymond, basically, anywhere from Schmaltz all the way down here to Backlund is kind of a big tier in my mind. If you really need the off nights, if you're not going to be able to get the a play in from Schmaltz, Hayton, Cooley, Jenner, Marchenko, you can absolutely go Backlund and get all those off nights. Make sure you're getting something in your lineup. Definitely wouldn't feel bad about that. And then lastly, I have Robbie Fabry. I haven't seen an update actually on his injury. It was, I think it was just missing practice. But Fabry, again, similar to day to day, unlikely for the home opener versus Tampa Bay, but hopefully back for next week. So likely out tomorrow, back Monday. So seems like he'll be back next week. Again, similar to Raymond, line 2, power play 2, but obviously you just feel a little bit less secure in the production there. So Blake, tear me apart. Tell me where I'm wrong. What would you do differently?
Well, first off, Boone Jenner at 7. I can't even talk about Boone Jenner anymore. I'm sorry. No, that's fine. I think I'd move Lucas Raymond above Matt Coronado. For me, I'm just not
Sure.
sold on Coronado at this point. I love the rookies, but it's the same kind of thing with Cooley, like putting Hayton over Cooley. You know what I mean? It's like it just makes sense to me because it's secure. The role is secure. The deployment is secure, and I think Raymond's deployment, he's top line there. And I just think his deployment is a little more secure than Coronado's. But, it's potato, really. Like, I think Calgary has a better schedule, 1A, 1B than Detroit. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Coronado, like, they're not sold on if they're even putting Mangiapane on line one, power play one. So he could go back up there and do that. So you're kind of it's splitting hairs really. And then Robbie Fabry, I don't know. I'd probably rather take someone from Washington there. I think maybe like Tom Wilson or, Kuznetsov or Backstrom or Strome or something like that. I mean, those guys are centers, so that does kind of suck. It kind of hampers you a little bit. But even Connor McMichael, I don't know. Connor, is he playing any power play? Connor McMichael? Oh God, no, he's not playing on the power play. So, that's kind of stinky, but I think I'd definitely probably go Tom Wilson there instead of Fabry. I think I like that a little better.
Sure. All right, let's talk about hits. If you're in a bangers league and you're looking for hits, we won't spend as much time here, obviously, but just wanted to throw some names out there for you to be aware of and thinking about. Top guy I have is Nikita Zadorov from Calgary, Jeff Petrie, Michael Rasmussen, and Ben Sherratt, all from Detroit, and then Jack McBain from Arizona. If you're looking for an Arizona Monday, Tuesday start to the week, get some hits and then throw them off your lineup and get somebody who can actually score some points for you. But Jack McBain absolutely does hit. So any thoughts on the hitters here, Blake?
Nah, I like this. I love these beefers, and I like saying McBain. Let's get silly. That's fine. But go pick up Jack McBain just for fun. You want to have some fun in your league?
Absolutely. Best for blocks. If you're looking for blocks in a bangers cats, Ben Sherratt is top dog here, but Jake Wallman actually has does some other things, like shoots a little bit. He's getting a lot of minutes there. So if you're looking for a more well-rounded player, then maybe Jake Wallman is your guy. Jeff Petrie shows up here again. Chris Tanev from Calgary, and then JJ Moser I have from Arizona. Thoughts there, Blake?
No, yeah, actually, I read this wrong. I was like, where the hell's Chris Tanev? So no, he's there. I love Chris Tanev. Actually, I strongly considered him in some spot that made sense in one of my leagues, but I just remember him from his Vancouver days. This guy's insane. He'll never play a full season because he throws his face in front of the puck. It's insane. Like, don't block it with your face, man. He looks like Sloth from Goonies. It's ridiculous. You get the reference, Nate? Do you even know what Goonies is?
I do know what Goonies is, Blake. I'm not that young.
Okay. All right. I thought you were. All right. You got a young face.
All right. So yeah, we'll move on to the next segment, best players to add for the future. So these are more long-term plays, guys that you might want to think about picking up and just hanging on to because they're actually pretty good. So the top guys that I have here, I kind of split this up between forwards, and I'm going to do a little bit of a rostership percentage, just using Yahoo rostership, just to kind of break this up a little bit. There's a lot of guys to work with. So for this first group here, it's all guys that are under 50% rostered on Yahoo currently. I've got Nikolai Ehlers, Arturi Lehkonen, Seth Jarvis, Robert Thomas, Pavel Zacha. Who's your favorite from this group, Blake? What do you have to say?
I think I like Jarvis. I mean, and that might be a little spicy. Like, it's one game, right? But he was a guy I talked about a lot in the offseason that I was looking forward to seeing, right? Because of the increased deployment he got in the playoffs. And yeah, he got it in the first game, like over 20 minutes. And, he just beefed out of his mind 7 hits in the first game, buddy.
Yeah.
My God. And Josh Hutchinson shared a picture of this guy on X or Twitter or whatever. And it was hilarious. Like, I almost like the guy more after the picture. He's like sitting in his stall and he's giving the camera the finger, like just with a really weird look on his face and his hat's all low. Like, it's an epic photo. And I was like, you know what? Seth Jarvis, that's my guy. So yeah, I'm excited about Jarvis. Ehlers, obviously we love Ehlers, but I'm not getting my hopes up, right? I picked him in 2 spots with like a really low pick. I think it was like 140 to 160. That's where I was getting Ehlers, which is pretty nice value for me. And if I have to drop him, I have no problems there. So yeah, and Lehkonen too, he's getting power play 1. So these are all good options.
For sure. All right, sub 20% rostered. Usually I only put one guy in here. I'm only picking one from the sub 20% category. because I also do a sub 10% roster category. But there's just so many things going on right now. So
Mhm.
if you're looking for somebody to grab and hold, Gabriel Velarde's in this category. Barrett Hayton, who we've talked about, is in this category. Sean Couturier, who played over 20 minutes in his return to Philadelphia, looked pretty good.
Yep.
And then Nick Paul is in here as well. Who's your favorite from this group, Blake?
You know what? It's probably Hayton. I'm interested in Hayton or Couturier. I think are the safest picks, but I mean, I'm choosing Hayton because Couturier is coming off like 2 years where he didn't play, right? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's back 20 minutes plus on a what we think is going to be not a very good team, right? But they played pretty well in the first game, so yeah, I'm taking Hayton there. I'm with you. I'm excited about Arizona this year in terms of fantasy, and I think it's going to be a really fun team. And he's top line, top power play there, so you gotta love it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't hate that. I have Velarde at the top just based off that one game. It's
Yeah,
just probably maybe putting too much weight into one game, but 2104 time on ice, 7 shots, 7 individual scoring chances for.
yeah.
It seems like they're going to play the crap out of the top line once again, and he's on it at the moment, and he's on the top power play. So it's a good spot to be in. Sub 10% rostered, I have Kirill Marchenko here. I have Thomas Novak, Zach Benson, and then I do still have Jakub Vrana in here. Obviously, that's a long-term play, and maybe you're streaming away from him for this week, but for long-term, I'm still in on Vrana's talent. What do you say about these guys, Blake?
I think right now I'd go with Marchenko. Obviously, like we're talking long-term ads. Who do I think is going to be better at the end of the season? Vrana. But I don't know. Yeah, they're very similar players in this group. Yeah, it'd be Marchenko or Vrana for me, or the players that I'm interested in having from this group. And Benson's
Sure.
exciting too, but I want to see them actually have a good game and see this guy pop off with a couple points here first.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great preseason for Zach Benson. Um, and yeah, we obviously haven't seen it, just one game so far. So we'll see what happens from there. Played
Yep.
14-27, a couple shots on goal in his debut. Long-term plays at defense. So these are guys that were 50% rostered or under. I've got Bowen Byram, Mike Matheson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Torrey Krug, Philip Hronek. Any favorites from that group, Blake?
Oh, I got favorites. The Professor, Mike Matheson. Oh, are you putting Bowen Byram over Mike Matheson? Is that what you're saying here, Nate?
I do have it that way, yes.
Oh, God, I'm sorry to hear this, but that's fine. On a clearly better team, I love the periffs that Byram brings, and obviously his efficiency. But Ekman-Larsson, what the hell? Like I was looking at, and I know I want to pump this later too, but 18 skaters here. He's pumping out some amazing content here at Apples and Geno's. Just a really wicked skater summary that he's doing. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I saw Ekman-Larsson and kind of what he's bringing to the table. It's insane. This guy played 26 minutes, 32 seconds, 4.5 minutes on the power play. Right. And that's with Florida not converting a damn thing. Right. So, if Matt Tkachuk could actually put the puck in the net, this guy could have like a 5-point night, so Ekman-Larsson, damn. That's a player I'm interested in for sure. I just can't bring myself to do it after one more game, and I might have to get in there.
Yeah. Ekman-Larsson's night was huge. 26 minutes, 31 seconds time on ice, 4 shots, 10 shot attempts. Like it was pretty wild. So definitely interested in that pickup. I can see the case for Matheson or even honestly Ekman-Larsson over Byram at the current moment just due to the power play one. But I'm trusting my projections a little bit on that one. I do have a 50-point projection on Byram, and he's terrific in peripherals, does all those things, and his upside is through the roof. If anything ever happens to Makar and he gets on the top power play, like there are scenarios in which Bowen Byram is like a skeleton key to winning your league, and that doesn't exist for the other guys. So
Yeah, love
that's
that.
a little bit of that. I just want to address you saying that Matthew Tkachuk can't score a goal. Noted, noted non-goal scorer Matthew Tkachuk, who has 82 goals in his last 2
What?
seasons.
No, don't call me out on this, Nate. I'm talking to the first-time listeners that have never played fantasy hockey before. All right? Don't do take that offline. All right, that's something. Put it in the private chat.
We'll take it out in post, as you say. All right. Sub 20%, just one here, Caitlin Addison, and then sub 10%, Cam York. I think it's conversation between the two who you might prefer. Who do you have there, Blake?
Oof. Neither are really getting me excited. I
Yeah.
think, I don't know. I have Addison in a spot, but I almost like York a little better at this point. I don't see who's coming for his minutes, but it's 50-50, honestly. Maybe 55-45 York, but both players have potential for sure. Addison, even if he gets his 18, 19 minutes, maybe he could be like a Tony D'Angelo, right? And pop off for 45 or 40, 45 points, right? That's reasonable for a player that's rostered sub 20%.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be York. I've never been an Addison. Well, I should not probably say never been, but ever since we saw last year and what they used him for, and then they come out this year and he's skating 17 minutes, 28 seconds
Yeah.
total time on ice, even with power play one. Cam York played 22-31.
Yeah.
We talked about Philadelphia actually looked pretty decent in that game. Couturier's back, Atkinson's back. They've got a little bit of a team there now. So yeah, I've got a little bit of upside. I'm considering for Cam York here if he can kind of kind of put it together and take hold of what's in front of him. I think that there's at least some upside there that I'm a little bit more excited about than I am with Addison.
Love it.
All right, let's switch over to goalies. Philip Grubauer is going to make this list. For me, 46% rostered. Karel Vejmelka and Phoenix Copley are going to round it out. Who would you have from those three?
Oh God. Oh man. I think I'll take Merzlikins. Yeah, give me some Merzlikins in there. Elvis is in the building. Is he saving any pucks? We don't know. All right, but I mean, this is not. These are some zero G boys here. So yeah, I mean, if I'm picking him up and he's stinking, I'm dropping him, kicking him to the curb. Oh, sorry, was he on there in the long term plays, or did I just go off the?
Well, you went to the sub 25% rostered
You
goaltender
know what?
category, but that's fine. If you take Merzlikins over the guys above, then
That
that's
that
noteworthy, I'd say.
That we will take out in post, all right? Of those three that Nate mentioned before I jumped ahead, I would take Grubauer, 100%. And then, we'll see what the next topic is. Let's see if you can guess.
All right. The next topic is the sub 25% rostered, and you can get Merzlikins at that cost, 22% rostered on Yahoo, and had a pretty good night.
Yeah.
Stopped a bunch of shots, 33 saves, only 2 goals against. That's not a bad first outing for Merzlikins. Yeah, maybe still a little bit concerned about the defense, especially with Werenski out for the next couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, you could probably do worse than Elvis Merzlikins in a lot of spots. And I mean, the best case scenario is what we saw from him when he first came into the league and he was lighting the world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's a scenario you should be betting on, but at this price, you basically just pick him up and you see it seems like he's definitely going to get the majority of starts there. And we've talked about that we have some higher hopes for the Blue Jackets as a whole this season. So if all those things come to pass, I could actually definitely see a scenario. You know how agnostic I am about goalies. I could definitely see a scenario in which Merzlikins is better than Grubauer, is better than Vejmelka, is better than Copley as well. I would say about Copley, I have some interest here because Talbot really did not do himself any favors in that first game for LA. And so if Copley's able to put together a solid start in his first game, then I feel like there's at least a chance that he comes out ahead. I do think this was always going to be a tandem one way or the other, but who the primary is, the 1A there, is definitely up for grabs after that not so great outing. I mean, it was against the Colorado Avalanche, so cut the guy a little bit of a break, but yeah, some goals that maybe he should have stopped there for Talbot in the first one. So definitely interested in Copley. All right. Now we're going to do this throughout the season, Blake. We're going to make some picks for the week, and we'll keep score throughout the year. Basically, we're just going to take one of the streamers for the full week and one of the guys we've talked about tonight, and we'll do this every single week. We'll keep score throughout the season. Who can be the best at picking streamers? So, Blake, we've decided not we. I just decided that you get first pick this week and I'll take first pick next week. We'll pass it back and forth, similar to what Hutch and Banksy did on Rolling Lines with their segment. We'll do the same thing here. So pick a streamer, any streamer that you please for next week, and we'll use a couple points to see who wins. That will be our measuring stick.
Okay. All right. That's nice. Well, thank you for giving that to me first, Nate. You're a gentleman, a scholar, just a beautiful, beautiful person. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm also a nice person. So what I'm going to do, because I know one of your boys is going to, you probably want to have one of your boys. I can't do you like that. I cannot take Mangiapane, even though that's probably the right answer. What I'm going to do is take the slinky Daniel Sprong. Book it. This man's going to pop big time. I actually, in all seriousness, I do like him as a streamer. He's not the best streamer on Detroit, but you know what? I'm going to stay on brand. I think the Slinky's going to have a nice week, and I'm excited about it. What say you, Nate?
All right, so Blake goes with Daniel Sprong, and I'm going to come right back at you. I'm not going to take Mangiapane. I'm going to leave him out there, leave him in free agency, and I'm going to go with Matt Coronado since you talked some yang on this man.
Oh, damn.
And I think you need to respect his abilities.
Okay. Oh, we'll see.
So I'm going to take Matt Coronado. You take Daniel Sprong. We'll count it up at the end of the week, and we'll see where we land.
It's a battle to the death. I mean, of your fantasy team. I don't know where I'm going with this. That got too dark.
Too dark, too fast. It's too late in the evening for me. All right. We should probably get out of here, but we can't get out of here without telling the people that they need to be in the Apples and Genos Discord server, where we're talking fantasy hockey 24/7 pretty much. Over 800 fantasy managers in there. So if you got a question, somebody's bound to pick up on it and have a chat with you about it. If you're interested in chatting to me directly about all your fantasy questions, that is a service that I offer through Patreon for a monthly subscription fee. So if you would like to have someone that you can hit up and ask a question anytime, anywhere, and get an answer on what you should be doing with your lineup, you can do that with me through Patreon. And as Blake mentioned, really do want to plug 18 Skaters. Mark Barber has been posting these daily summaries on the Apples and Genos website, and I just think it's tremendous fantasy hockey content. I had somebody in the patron chat say I should put it behind the Patreon paywall just so that less people would see it. Nobody in his leagues would see it and take advantage of it. So it's terrific stuff. If you haven't seen it already, you need to head over to applesandgenos.com and check out those daily summaries. You can get caught up on everything that happened in the league last night just in one quick article read. So definitely do that. If you've made it this far, if you could give us a like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, if you could give us a rating, if you're listening on a podcast app, that would be terrific stuff. We do really appreciate it. But that's all we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band They're There for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.